Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be doing something new. Today we're going to be doing reacts. I just started a new TikTok. I hate TikTok a lot, personally. But starting a react channel, we're going to have something to react to. TikTok's one of the most obvious places other than YouTube Shorts. So today I'm going to be going through it and basically live reacting as I go through, and I'll make sure still to keep doing the weekly roll-ups or the kind of news and trends focused long form content as well. So we'll get right to it. I'm here going through TikTok. This is something that's just shown for me, and I gotta immediately react to this and bring this up because this is absurd. This is I believe it's unethical things you can do to get you out of certain situations. This, I don't know. I don't think this is just unethical. I believe this is illegal. But let's get into it.
Dating someone new. Simply after you finish doing the business, put a nicotine patch on her arm while she is asleep. This way, when she leaves you, she'll feel there is something wrong, and it is because she is not sleeping with you. If you ever get a
So say that's drugging somebody. Like nicotine's a drug. Don't do that. That's really that's way out there. That's pretty bad. All right, another thing. I had seen this. I saw a joke made about this. I didn't know this is a real thing. So I'm gonna watch this again. This is this is pretty good.
Every time when I move, he has to move.
Bro, he's just getting yanked around, man. That's crazy. Oh man. Some people just can't handle it, man. That's pretty nice. That's a good one. Oh boy. Get into this.
Unethical ways to make money, part 8. First,
Ooh,
you're going to have a
8-parter,
daughter.
huh?
Right when she turns 3 months old, you're going to hire 2 nannies, one male and one female. Throughout your daughter's whole childhood, you will tell her that these nannies are actually her parents, and that you and your wife are your daughter's aunt and uncle. These nannies will raise your
Interesting.
daughter practically like their own child. That is until one day, when your daughter turns 8 years old, your nannies are going to go on vacation to
That's pretty
Hawaii,
messed up.
and that leaves you and your wife, aka your daughter's aunt and uncle, to watch her for the week. But, unfortunately for your daughter, the plane that these nannies were on will violently crash into the Atlantic Ocean, leaving your daughter to think.
Hold on a second. There's so many different things going on to unpack here. First of all, this guy is giving like a interview vibe with like full leather, and what did we're in 2024. I mean, it's like super 80s. I don't know if you noticed through the cuts, but he's even wearing leather gloves, like red leather gloves. Pretty crazy. Second of all, I mean, this is another one of those things. So far, it's super messed up, and also trying to pretend they disappear and die, you know, to a plane crash to fake that. Like, I mean, if they're young enough, I guess you could tell them, and then they could look it up later. You have to prove it. I'm gonna let this keep going because so far this is super crazy. What's the end goal here? Got to see what the end goal is.
That both of her parents just died. From here, you and your wife will take your daughter into your care. You'll get her the best coaches, trainers, tutors, and your daughter will work as hard as possible to try and make it into the WNBA in order to avenge her dead parents. But right before draft day,
see, there it
your
is,
daughter
very
will
close.
walk into a local grocery store and see someone who looks oddly familiar. It's one of the nannies. Your wife will run up to the nanny, who she thinks is her mother, and ask what happened. The nanny will instantly break down into tears and explain the full story. From here, your daughter will resent you and move in with her nannies. She'll write a book about all the trauma she faced and how she overcame it, and she will become a best-selling author. Then, large corporations will pay her hundreds and thousands of dollars to speak at their corporate events. And at one of these corporate events, she'll be asked out on a date by a billionaire startup founder. The two of them will begin talking and eventually
Oh no,
they'll
that'd be
get married.
awful.
But
It'll be a
they
tech
sign a
bro.
prenup. So after a few years and a
It'll
couple
be
of cheating
about
allegations,
Bitcoin.
your daughter will divorce this billionaire and take half of everything he owns. After the news hits, you will try to reconnect with your daughter, and she'll realize that no amount of money in the world will ever make her happy, and she'll send a couple $1 million back to her real parents. Work smarter, not harder.
That's the goal. Interesting. All right, this is the second unethical video I've seen so far. I'm gonna have to do a whole segment probably on these alone. That was just wild. Some of the other parts of the other were wild. Some of them were actually correct. Like it said something about escaping a ticket or something, which by going to court because the police don't usually show up, which is true. I don't know how that's unethical. That's completely ethical. But anyway, this in different podcasts and groups and things like that, I say some questionable stuff. But this is so far out there. But no, let's keep going. This is
Hi. Today I want to do a comparison between classical ghillie suit and the ghost hoodie.
interesting. There's right there's the giant bush with you. That'd be pretty hard to tell. That one's really good. The bush and then that one were pretty good. That was also good too. I actually didn't see him. Problem is like movement. That one's easy to tell, even if I like didn't look in the environment. It was pretty decent. That one's also kind of obvious. I'd probably be able to spot that and pick it out. But again, problem is in airsoft. Oh, I didn't see that one. That one's great. So those are the actual ghillie. I'm assuming made of the local plant material that's there when you're right there. I mean, some of the other stuff worked, like especially on the tree. I mean, that was pretty good camouflage, and against some of the other brackish type stuff. But yeah, from playing airsoft in forests a lot with people, I wore like old school Vietnam and like Korean War era standard like OD green. I forget the name of the camo, but anybody that's old enough to remember knows what that's like. It's pretty much the same, the generic army camo with the OD green, the brown, the black splotches. That stuff worked a lot. There was a lot of people who never saw me. Turkeys just don't move. You get somewhere, near some stuff that you kind of blend into, just don't move. And even though like I look, white as hell, obviously, but yeah, just don't move. And I used to be a good sniper in some of those games. And that was the other thing too, is I'd stop, look around, and that's what I would catch. I'd always catch people because they would move around so much. It wasn't even sound. So sometimes when you're out there long enough, like the wind's blowing, you don't hear any sounds. Forests make sounds on their own. Leaves moving, stuff like that. You can hear branches break, that sort of thing. But a lot of the times it was me being in a bush, staring through it, like even looking through my scope. There were a couple times that I shot at guys purely just I had no target acquisition, no positive ID, nothing. I looked through my scope and I'm like, I swear I just caught movement. And so I, recenter the scope, observe around whatever it was. And these were shitty scopes. Like nowadays, if I had an LVPO or something like that, I'd toggle the variable zoom on there and stuff like that. No, these are like standard shitty telescopic, like buy them from Walmart for $20 for BB gun type stuff. So it's just a straight tube. I'd still catch movement with that and pop dudes with it. Kind of crazy. Camouflage is interesting.
Don't pull the door on me, girl. I don't have.
Why is everything quiet all of a sudden? Yeah.
Okay, well, what's your first and last name? Is not a good start. We're not going to start off the lie. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to have you grab this wall right here. Put your hands up against this wall. I'm executing a warrant.
How you doing?
Okay. Hey, how you doing? Looking for DeMar. How many people you got here?
We got 3 people here.
You got 3.
All right, so I don't even have to. I'm gonna keep going, but obviously this is fake, staged, and stuff already. I mean, they're supposed to have a piece of paper as a warrant. It doesn't. It kind of doesn't matter if you have your ID in your house, or if they have a warrant. And you can't. The problem is if you can't prove who you are, they'll probably come in and execute the search warrant anyway. However, you can prove who you are, pull out your ID, or go grab your ID. Like, hey, wait a minute, close the door. Always close the door, by the way. Always close the door. Say, hey, I'm gonna go get my wallet. You're not allowed to enter. Close the door, and it depends on what they're doing. The search warrant, picture the danger level of the individual, things of that nature. But yeah, let's just keep saying. Let's just keep watching, see if this is even legit at all.
How many times do you want me to tell you, deaf?
It
Do
doesn't
you need me to sign
matter.
it for
He's
you?
not here.
That's 2 versus 1.
We have had several versions of this story, and I'm not up for the bullshit. We all girls here, by the way? Females?
Where's the warrant?
Okay, just want to know what I'm dealing with. By you harboring a fugitive, it's a felony, which means I can take you all into custody for doing so. You'd ask me, well, how am I impeding your investigation
Correct,
if
kind of,
he doesn't
but-
live here, right? Right. So that's where we're going to get to the good stuff. I have a warrant for the address, which means if he's not here, in order for me to continue my job to find the son of a bitch, I would have to clear this address first. So you'd be the inhibitor here, okay? So then, for me to get to him, you're still in the middle, right? So you are harboring. So you need to take yourself out of the middle so I can get to him. You see how that works? You put yourself on the line, that's what it means. You're going to catch a case. And that's times 3. We can take you all down and get cuffs for everybody.
Well,
It's felony, too. It's a fun felony. I don't care if you saw him this
Fun
morning.
felony.
he doesn't live here, so it doesn't matter.
Follow my page for more videos.
Here's how to get the minion physique. Although even ChatGPT can't determine their exact height,
Oh,
we do know
okay.
that Gru is 14 feet tall. In this picture,
Excuse me?
we can see that the minions are below his waist, so we can estimate that
Hold on a second. Gru's how fucking tall? Canonically? My boy, like, the tallest, one of the tallest beings in the world? Interesting. I haven't watched enough of Despicable Me. Like, I think I stopped at probably the first one, the second one, somewhere in there. But that's crazy. And we're going to keep going, though.
the average minion is around 4 feet tall and weighs around 45 pounds. If they were human,
Huh.
their maintenance level would be approximately 1,600 calories per day. The yellow filet mignons
That
are
seems kinda
defined by
high.
their small stature and deceitful nature. In fact, if
Says
you look
filet
closely,
mignon.
their torso
Mignon.
takes up 80% of their body, making them excellent at building, operating weapons, and even driving. I'd say their strongest
Can you not
points
say
are their
weapons on
chest and core. To get this look, there's a lot to consider. Since they have lived for hundreds of millions of years, surviving through the dinosaurs, pyramids, and even World War I, they are basically immortal. So you'll need to find a way to live forever. Maybe some compound V or eating bapples would help. For the height, you'd need to shrink yourself to the size of a dwarf or a 12-year-old kid, but I'm afraid you'd die before you get that small. This physique is literally impossible to obtain, but if you have what it takes, you'll become a threat to humanity. Here's how to get
Fair.
the minion.
If someone
But to continue
Here's how
part
to
of
get-
that, I don't. There's people that are that small that exist like that. There's like short stack. I say short stack. The negative, the female connotation of that. But they're short stack dudes that are like they're dwarfs. They're really dwarfs. Not dwarfism dwarfs. I'm talking about fantasy dwarfs, like where you think big, stout, like built like brick shithouse type things. I mean, those dudes exist, and like they're just a wall of meat. It's interesting. I've also met some really short people, that were incredibly like strong. I was surprised. For instance, one of the people I bought a couch from, and one of my buddies, we go to lift it, and it's a motorized couch. So normally I've lifted plenty of couches. I've moved a lot in my life. And I'm like, it's just a couch. It's easy. Pick it up, whatever. 2 people, it's fine. But we go to lift it, and you do the smart person, the correct way to lift, the way they teach you in any real manual labor job. You bend down with your legs, I did it, I was facing in one direction so I could be the lead of it, so I was facing backwards. So I bend down, put my hands behind it, my back, and I go all the way down to it, and basically in a crouch, and put my fingers underneath it. And, we count down 3, 2, 1, go, and I stand up. But my buddy, he tries to stand up and like lift this couch, and he's like, I can't, boss. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't? He's like, bro, I can't even bench like 100 pounds, man. Like, no joke. And so I back up and I watch him, and he like, I watch him visibly struggle to try to lift it up. He gets like maybe 3 inches off the ground and then has to drop it. I was like, oh, my bad, bro. I knew he was weaker. I didn't know he was that weak. He's like, nah, I just not built that way. I'm built different. And so I have to get the owner after I already paid for these things. He's this shorter dude. Dude's like probably 4 something. Well, I say 4 something. Maybe 5 something. I'm about 6 feet tall. He definitely feels like he's a good like foot shorter than me at minimum. And he just looks like a normal dude. Like, he looks average. Like, I got a kind of a beer gut and stuff like that. Like, I got a gut. I'm dad bod it to hell. But this dude just rolls up, and you know, he comes up and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I can help you lift that." And so we go all the way down and everything, and it's after like we put it in the back of my truck. As he's walking away, I realized like his calves and stuff look like mine, which I used to bike a lot, so I my calves, my legs look pretty built. But dude's like just short, stout. Like he's got wide shoulders like I do. Like I'm pretty broad, kind of pretty broad chested, pretty wide shouldered. He's like built like me, but just shorter. And like instead of gut, he's more fit. So like you could visibly see it, dude's like calf muscles are just like a whole unit. And I was like, man. And so after all that was done, me and my friend were joking on the truck. Figured I need help whenever we get home to move it inside with one of the other guys that are stronger. But he's like, dude, that guy was built like a freaking dwarf. Because guy had a really long beard down to like here. Cool dude too. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, man, that guy probably drinks tons of ale, rock and stone all the way. Dude's definitely a dwarf, 100%. That's enough about that.